Nintendo! Just before this video begins, I need to state these two things. One, I am happy that you really wanted me to try and walk in the footsteps of Brawl Fan 1, an amazing man that has a brilliant mind in making new ideas for possible Smash movesets. And secondly, you guys are dicks. Not because I hate the idea, I love the Mario and Luigi series and love how Ant and Balma would fit the description for Smash Brothers perfectly as OCs. But this being the first video in the series, or if I continue this, is going to be slightly more complex than a Mario-like character. But I guess since I like you guys, I will go through with this moveset, and will do my best to avoid referencing the Ice Climbers since that is the closest comparison I got to actually show off this moveset as a whole. In which case, Ant and Balma, the Mario and Luigi series of OCs. These two are the most unlikely pair that went to meet to defeat the evil Dr. Amino and other strange phenomenons in the Earthly Kingdom. But these two have stories behind their new premise, so let's get into that before we get into them together. And is the zombie slayer of Los Perdidos, Earth 117, and was there to defend the rest of the outside worlds known worlds from the zombie hellhole that was his planet. Till one unlikely day getting sucked into the Earthly Kingdom with his own Luigi, Bendy, being sucked into the Doctor's base, meeting with multiple new faces, including one that he will not forget anytime soon, Bulma. And to give Bulma an introduction, Bulma was the Luigi of the Didi sisters, helping her sister when trouble arises. Till one day, Dr. Onino captures Bibi to have her energy be used for an evil scheme. When Bulma was ready to rush off to save her flesh and blood, she bumps into someone she won't forget as well, Aunt West. And ever since that day, the two have worked perfectly with one another. And that's as good as the Mario and Luigi from Out the Dream series or in the Mushroom Kingdom. Rest in peace, Out the Dream. And that teamwork is how this duo will make themselves very well known in the world of Super Smash Bros. So getting right into things, these two would be an average midweight fighter, similar to Mario, Doc, or Luigi. Now I know that normally midweight fighters to get them separately would just together would just kind of classify them as a heavyweight fighter by extension or maybe make them a lightweight. But trust me when I state this, unless you want these to survive tons and tons of heavy attacks with the power of love, I guess, or being launched away very, very, very easily, I feel like they need to be at the very least a midweight fighter together. Plus in their own animations featuring the two, or even in some arts depicting of them, they are truly the Mario and Luigi successors, even making someone like Super Sephiroth making them too scared to fight these two head on. These guys would have two decent jumps no matter who is in the front of the duo, and both options would be able to wall jump, cling, and crawl, mostly due to Ant being the student of the Mario Brothers, and Bulma being the Luigi of the Didi sisters. So it makes sense that both options, no matter who's in the front or back, kinda just, develops both traits, even if it is a little unorthodox. And yes, I said no matter who is in front of the duo. But why is that, you may ask? Aren't these two going to be playing like Ice Climbers? Wrong! Well, you can state that you can start off the match as Ant or Bulma in front like you could with the Ice Climbers by selecting the character you want in the character select screen. Well, this is where I start talking about the wild gimmick that makes this duo completely different compared to most duos in the Smash Bros. Roster, I believe. Kind of. It's like Ice Climbers, but if you could switch like Pyra and Mithra, kind of. That's the best I got, but yeah. So I suggest you buckle up, because I am sure this is going to be a wild ride. Okay, here's where things get interesting. As I already stated at the beginning of the description of the fighters, you can choose the person who you want to be at the front of the formation by kind of selecting them on the character select screen, like you would do with the Ice Climbers. But where in the Ice Climbers you are stuck as playing as Popo or Nana being in the front of the formation for the whole entire match, you can actually switch your partners during the match during gameplay, similar to Pyro and Mithra. And yes, I am using Pyro and Mithra a lot because this is the best thing I could describe, but it's like Ice Climbers if they have Pyro and Mithra's function. And it's like they could switch, but they're both still there. I don't know, that's the best I got in describing this kind of wild explanation, so bear in mind. Now, normally I wouldn't be able to describe any specials in a different section because usually, well, special attacks go in the special attack section. Why would you want to describe it? I think I need to address the down special a little bit more. So, obviously, the down special is just to swap positions, but unlike Pyro and Mithras, or even, well, any characters that swap during gameplay, you would switch on the fly. A matter of like, you would have the back player zoom to the front and the front player going to the back. Therefore, it's just, yeah. And no, you can't do this in the air. I'll explain why not in a bit, but this is to reference the Mario Bros. Mechanic in Superstar Saga, where the player can swap the brother's position to perform certain actions in the Bean Kingdom, or even making Luigi be the front player if you really so wish. And this might be the most insane point of this. These two would go into the formation in near instant times, almost in a matter of moments away, and the duo would be completely invincible. Now, it doesn't sound that bad in retrospect, but in reality, if these two swap while someone tries to attack, the foes would be more likely than punished for misreading the swap pattern. Even things like normal grabs and special attacks won't work on these two. Like command grabs would work against these two, and final smashes would automatically just knock them out of it. So it's not completely invincible, just invincible in the normal means of grabs, punches, and even special attacks. So, and there's a reason why I said you can't do this in the air, because one, it wouldn't make sense for animation-wise, because I'm a big animation too, and number two, well, you wouldn't be able to spike these two without having any, like, problems like just going too deep, or you would be punished for it out of the air. So I just decided to make this more closer to the move scene in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Either the remake or the original, it doesn't really matter. For Smash, this is just to make these two have two different playstyles, from smash attacks, grabs, pummels, throws, and even special attacks depending on the fighter at the front or back. Basic attacks, taunts, and aerials would be the same no matter who's in the front or back. So this is more closer to that of the theming of teamwork, rather than just having an overall different moveset for the two. And yes, I hope this makes sense moving forward, but, well, here's a weakness to these two. Yes, I will describe these two different separate movesets when I get to the different sections, but I won't categorize it as two separate fighters. Otherwise, it would just make this more complex than it already has to be. And here's the big difference. You both, Ant and Balma, no matter who's in the front or back, will have to share a hitbox. And you can perform the down special while on the ground, you can't do it in the air, so you need to make sure both Ant and Balma are safe from the back and front, or you'll be suffering a lot more game overs than Ant and Balma would like normally. Alright, I hope that big jumble of an explanation actually makes sense, because it's time to actually go into the moveset. For the basic jab, it would start with the person in front throwing out a straight punch forwards, referencing Mario's first jab. The back person, the second hit would have the back person lunge forward for a more uppercut-like option, making it so it creates hit stun. And if this actually works, you both will pull out your respective weapons. Balma with both of their hammers, and they would swing it forward as if they were playing baseball. Yeah, obviously this move would be launched away, but there is a lot of in-lag due to the back person having to get to the back, and the two have to put away their hammers respectively. Their dash attack would have these two grab onto each other's feet and curl up into a fast ball to perform the move Rose Ball. Now yes, this animation-wise is similar to Sonic's dash attack in Brawl, but this move doesn't come from the Blue Blur actually. This is actually from Partners in Time and technically Dream Team, where Mario and Luigi uses this move to traverse to new lands at a fast pace, or even in Partners in Time where they squish the baby bros. I'm surprised Baby Mario and Baby Luigi didn't die to this, but anyways. And unlike Sonic's spin dash, if you hit grounded foes at the middle of the attack, it would actually squish the foes for a brief moment or two, and reference to the baby bros being squished in Partners in Time. Otherwise, this would function like Brawl Sonic's dash attack. If enemies are airborne or at the near the end of the dash attack, it would just launch them away. A small flinching damage aside. For the side tilt, it would be a bit of a different tilt than you would expect. The two would spin around a few times going forward before snapping back into the formation. The inspiration behind this tilt is specifically a makeshift idea. Having to separate to cover a bit more ground is based on how Sonic's down tilt goes out of certain ways to cover more distance than usual, and the spinning / animation for the tilt is being referenced to Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga's remake, where Mario, when the spin player performs the Super Splash throws in battle, Mario spins around. For the up tilt, the two would thrust their hands up and perform the Fire and Thunder hand, making a small fiery thunder explosion from the two's hands. And to add an aesthetic touch, since the two can perform both moves, the person in front will always perform the Thunder hand, and the person in the back will perform Fire hand. This is a reference to Mario and Luigi housing the Fire and Thunder hand in Superstar Saga. And to make more of an animation flair, the fire's colors will change depending on the person performing the ability in the back. Bulma will have more of a yellow flame if she's in the back, referencing her clothes, and Ant will have a green flame where this is referencing to his first logo that I, as a YouTuber, had. A green zombie heart. Credit for the idea belongs to Princess Makala. I was talking to them and they thought the color change could be not only a reference to their clothes or backgrounds, but could also be reference to chemical fire colors. So thank you so much for that, Princess. This move would be quick to come out, but would create some inlays, since the explosion would more than likely start the two. And for the down tilt, we'll make the two play golf. The two will pull out their hammers, stand back to back, and swing their hammers in a golfing-like motion, sweeping the foes up if they were hit by either hammer, and sending them away. This is in reference to Luigi hitting Mario the first time when performing the Super Knockback Bros attack, and like the reference, the move would have some start and end lag, but has the best launching power that is for the two tilts. Now it is time for this moveset to get very interesting, and get into the true Mario Luigi-like gameplay. But it's just a taste for it in the Smash Attack, so don't worry. For the forward smash, if Ant would be the front player, Ant would perform a Mario-esque forward smash, having an explosion emerge after charging it up. But unlike how Mario performs this move in Super Move, Ant would make a thunderclap motion, having this more closer to Luigi's Thunder move in Superstar Saga, and Bulma from the back would enhance the power of this move by charging a fireball in your hands and burning Ant in the back and once Ant makes the thunder explosion. This is in reference to Mario's Firebrand ability of shooting fire at Luigi's back to make him go faster in some puzzles, and like this, it helps Ant shoot the thunder explosion faster, but it would have some end lag since Bulma needs to clear the fire from Ant's back. For the forward smash, if Bulma was in the front, would have Bulma performing a Luigi-esque forward smash. Unlike it, it would show her hand on fire, and so this would last longer. Ant would shock Bulma's back, making the fiery shock linger a bit longer. This is a reference to Luigi's Thunder move from behind in Superstar Saga, making it so Mario and Luigi stay close by for a long time. This move is not as fast as Ant's version that come out, but this move will last a bit longer and doesn't have too much end lag. For Ant's version of his up special, Ant would hold a katana with both hands as he charges it up, and Bulma would hold her hammer in a similar fashion. And once the charge ends, the two would swing their weapons above themselves. This is kinda closer to the Ice Climber's up smash in a sense, that's kinda it. Don't get comfortable with this comparison. These two, I want Ice Climbers and Ant and Balma to be two completely different characters, and not just a palette swap or a character. Hence, the up smash. If Balma was in the front, she would kneel down for the charge up, having Ant crouch down with both hands up, shrinking their hitbox a bit, but not by much. Then, and making it so Balma and Ant has separate hitboxes technically, but then, once the smash is released, Balma would jump onto Ant's head as Ant pushes her upwards, having Balma performing a powerful block-shattering uppercut. This is a makeshift reference to how the Mario Bros hit blocks above themselves in all the games that have blocks in them, and how the Bros performed the Super Splash Bros attack in the remake of Superstar Saga. This has the benefit of shifting the hitbox a bit and not much ending lag, since Ant would zoom back into position while Balma is trying to land on the ground, and also having a great disjoint for the foes above. But there's a lot of start lag due to the two getting into positions. And for the down smash for Ant, if Ant's in the front, we'll have him pulling out his father's trusted bat while Balma holds her sister's frying pan and spins around while crouching, making this similar to Peach's down smash. And for Balma's down smash, boy, where do I begin? This references the Super Chopper Bros in Superstar Saga's remake. Balma would hold her hammer back as the smash attack charges and has Ant zoom to the front, and upon release would hit Ant into the ground of the stage. And afterwards, immediately afterwards, has Ant uppercut out of the ground. The plumber uppercut will send foes into the air, but to best use this down smash is to make the hammer hit the foe, creating hit stuns so the plumber underground can get the foe above easier. This move would be great to punish foes that get too close to the two, but would need to be planned this out carefully because there is start lag for the pair getting into position, and end lag for the two getting back into their spots. Now for the aerials, which these will be where the two form together. The neutral air will have the two hold hands and spin around left to right at least a few times, before going back into position in the air. Their body would be creating small flinching damage, but their feet and technically legs would be the heavy hitters of the move, creating lingering hits and launching power at the end of the attack. And no, Prime or Blind or people that are thinking about this, people that are hit below the attack would just have small flinching damage. It doesn't spike like you would think in the remake. This is more closer to that in the actual, in the original. For the forward smash, they would perform a punch while tilted a bit downwards. Yes, this is being closer to the two performing a real down air, but it's more in reference to... skip this little section to avoid spoilers. Okay, we good? Okay. This would be more in reference to how Star Mario and Star Luigi would punch Bowser downwards, making this a move that can spike. For the back air, the two would simply thrust their hands from behind, making a fire and thunder-like explosion from behind. Like Ridley's back air or any other back airs that does this in comparison, this move can propel the two forward from the explosion. For the up aerial, the two would have the front player hover up into the back person's head spinning around, having the person in the back grab the other's feet and spin around with them, creating a bit of a one-time airlift as they do this, creating small bits of flinching damage, but would be the best to prevent those that edge guards do. As I said, these two's biggest weakness is themselves sharing a hitbox, despite the two being technically two fighters. Now, this is a reference to Splash Bros, a move that propels the two into the air for a brief moment before crashing down. For Smash, this would be more of a get-off-me tool, and a great extra jump option, but it would create end lag for the move and start lag for it has to get these two into position. And this move can be used for someone to spike the two down if used wrong, and before you get there cocky, you can only hover with this aerial once before needing to get hit or landing on the stage. In order to use the hover function again. And the down air would be from the remake of Superstar Saga, the Super Swing Bros. The two would grab onto each other's hand as if they were about to perform a neutral air, but instead of spinning in the air, the two would linger in air for a bit as they start the spin with their feet close together and zoom downward like a drill-like motion. This has some start lag like the neutral air, and if miss has horrible end lag and wouldn't stop until a certain ways in. But here's the great and technically broken thing about this move. This move can spike foes if they are hit at Ant and Balma's feet directly, and would make the two flip into the air, making this a fantastic way to punish those below the two, and even making Ant and Balma, with the help of the up aerial, 4 jumps without using the up special if you plan your move very nicely. So since the throws and pummel would be different depending on who grabs the foe, I will describe Ant's grab moves first before, almost like he's a separate fighter, and then do the same for Balma. That way it makes sense. With that said, no matter who's in the front or back, they will always have a Mario-esque like grab range, with them both holding the foe with one arm, and the pummel would just have, well, you know, they have different animations for aesthetic purposes. It just causes the same amount of damage. Like, for example, Ant's pummel would have Balma slapping the foe across the face. And obviously, I'll describe, like, this is for Ant's section. Hopefully this will make sense. There's going to be a chart on there on screen. So yeah. Anyways, for the third throw, in Ant's formation, or whoever is, or if Ant's the front player, would have Balma swing her hammer around, squishing the foe like the ball, and having Ant drop kick the foe away, Dying Light style, sending the foe forwards, making them back into their usual form. This move is a reference to the Knockback Bros, where Luigi uses his hammer to squish Mario before launching Mario at the foe, but instead of the hammer, Ant's Dying Light dropkick would be the launching part of the attack, and obviously referencing, you know, the dropkick. For the back throw, would have Ant starting to throw the foe around, but at the apex of the throw, Balma would hug Ant, forcing Ant to let go. This would turn the duo around. The up throw would have Ant throwing the foe up a short way, and having Balma performing a headbutt similarly to Mario's up smash. And the down throw would have Balma jumping on Ant's head, forcing Ant to let go of the foe, and then having Balma striking straight down, heads first, to force the foe into the ground. This being in reference to the end part of Bounce Bros, where Mario and Luigi strike down to the foe head first. This is a throw that can vary foes. And for the pump, and obviously now, this is the Balma section, where if Balma's holding the foe, the pummel would be giving the foe a shocking and burning feeling by using fire and thunder hand at the same time. For the forward throw would make Ant snapping his fingers to turn the foe into a turtle shell, and then having a wall in front of them. Ant takes the turtle shell of the foe wall before having the shell bounce back to Balma, forcing her to get the shell through set wall, smashing it a bit as it's going on, and having Balma kick the shell through set wall, smashing through it and turning the foe back to normal. This throw is in reference to Bowser's Zentai Story's green shell attack. The wall can pop foes into the air as if it was formed onto the foe's feet, and can block some incoming attacks / projectiles. Medium, weak to probably medium projectiles to give like a thing. The wall would kinda have like 25% damage at least before it starts actually breaking on contact. And if the wall was destroyed as if Ant or Balma kicks the shell can hit foes unluckily to be in the same spot. Right? So no matter what, this could be great for taking care of 2 birds with 1 stone. Or should I say 2 foes with 1 shell? I'll stop. The back throw would make Ant and Balma play leapfrog with the foe, and having them both hop up a bit while Balma tosses the foe between her legs, tossing them backwards. The up throw would have Ant hop back and toss the jump helmet from Bowser's Inside Story onto Balma's head, as Balma tosses the foe up into the spring in the Ant helmet, sending them upwards. This move doesn't cause really a lot of damage, and this technically is the weakest in terms of damage output, but would send them so far upwards depending on the damage percent prior. So this is probably the greatest kill option, technically, by association, technically. And finally, for the down throw, would have Ant toss a woohoo cannon from Bowser's Inside Story upwards, having Bulma toss the foe into the barrel, and before the barrel shoots the foe out, Ant would slam his hammer into the barrel, forcing the barrel to shoot the foe downwards towards the ground, popping them to the side afterwards. Alright, here's where the separation between the two begins. I will describe each B special as if they were different versions of each other. I guess the closest I would say possible is the difference between Pyra and Mithra's moveset when one or the other is active. In a small sense, I'm not saying that these two are the same or these two fighters are the same, but you'll see what I mean. If Ant is in the front formation while the B button is briefly pressed, it would make Ant pull out the galactic dual slingers from Sparks of Hope when Bulma holds onto Ant for support and shoots 2 blasts forward, being used almost like Zero Suit Samus's like shot. Making this hit and stun foes if it actually hits, helping up for follow-up attacks. But there is one more option or function for this move. If you hold the special button down, the gunslinging plumber would charge up the shot like Samus's neutral special, and while active, you can move forwards and backwards thanks to Bulma pushing / pulling her partner around. And when it's released or it's charged up for too long, let's say 3 seconds, shoots 2 powerful blasts forward before putting the guns away. If Bulma is in the front of the formation, when the B button is briefly pressed, the Bulma would just swing her hammer forwards, almost like Mario and Luigi does in the RPG games, making it more hurt the most if it was hit head on. But if you press it again while Bulma has her hammer on the ground, Ant would leap up in the air and slam his hammer onto Bulma's hammer with all his might, having a powerful shockwave shoot out of the two's hammer. This being like the power geyser wave that Terry uses in a way, kinda in the final smash, but not as big. This is a reference to Paper Jam's Trio Hammer, where Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario perform the Trio Hammer to make a devastating blow on the environment. But instead of 3 people, it would just be Ant and Balma, obviously. Grant's part of the side special would have Ant put on his cape from the cape feather and flying forward, charging at it briefly and would stop after a set distance. And while Ant does this, Bulma hops onto Ant's back, spinning her hammer around while Ant flies forward. This is a makeshift idea. Having Ant perform a Superman-like flying motion is obviously something you would see in Super Mario World or something like that, or any hero that would have a cape in general. And Bulma heading forward with her hammer, as if she was riding Ant like the jetboard bash from Dream Team. This move can help you move forwards in the air, making this an anti-edge tool tactic, believe it or not. For Bulma's version of the side special would have her spawn in the Super Bouncer from Bowser's Inside Story, and having Ant and Bulma jumping onto it like how Luigi does in the second game. And after the two bounce around a lot with this giant ball, Bulma would kick the ball away as if it was a soccer ball, and if the ball hits a foe, it creates a giant explosion that could hit multiple foes if unlucky, causing lots of damage and knockback. The ball can be reflected or parried though, so be careful while using this side special against experienced fighters, and if it doesn't hit anyone, it would just disappear after a set distance. For Ant Up special, he would spawn a magic mirror from Bowser's Inside Story, and the two would jump inside. This is a run-of-the-mill teleport, having the two hop into the first mirror, and then having another spawn for a set distance away. Though one thing that Ant and Balma will do after jumping out of the magic mirror before going into freefall is while Balma holds onto Ant's feet, Ant would automatically perform a Mario-styled up beat together, before the both would just go into freefall afterwards. The magic mirror would be in reference to Bowser's Inside Story, obviously, but the action of the duo jumping out in the mirror is in reference to the high jump that Luigi can perform while standing on Mario's head in Superstar Saga. I just think that it's interesting to see combine and can help avoid being edgeguard. For Bulma's version of the up B would have Bulma pull out the Rocket Blast from Paper Jam, having the two hop into the sides of the rocket as the timer counts down from 3 to 0. Once it hits 0, the rocket will shoot straight into the direction into any direction of the direction that you move with the directional stick, just like Fox's up special, but can be swayed in different directions similar to Snake's Akita, or even Ness's Thunderbolt before it hits Ness himself. And as soon as the rocket is at a certain distance, the duo would be sent into freefall after having the rocket disappear as well. But if the foe attacks the rocket, or even if the rocket collides with the foe or stage, the rocket would explode, causing the foe to get damage from the explosion, and Ant and Balma getting launched up with taking some moderate damage, making it so they could possibly use the up special again if not KO from the previous explosion. So the idea of this moveset is making it so you need to understand both fighters' strengths and weaknesses. Even if these two share a hitbox and that is a weakness of the failed flaw itself, these attacks can cause lots and lots of chaos to the other foe if they plan this out carefully. Like how Mario and Luigi act in the series. Mario and Luigi, obviously. Pay attention to your formation and your foe's movements. If you can keep those two in mind, you'll be able to show the world the Mario-Luigi tag team that is Ant West and Balma Helga. So for this final smash, gosh, there are a lot of ideas that could be used here, especially since the two are in the Mario and Luigi-like fighting style. But I have a few ideas that could technically be applied to them, so yeah. It's up to you whether one of these makes the most sense for the duo, or if there's a completely new smash attack that kinda could actually make sense for them. The first would have Ant summon the Dark Star Diver from Dream Team and settling down to it. The two would jump onto it before the two fly off into the sky. After that, a few stars would drop down around the location, making it possible to hit stun foes, before the Star Diver rams into the foe from left to right. Then the two would glow a small rainbow glow as they float back to their spots to resume the fight. The second potential smash attack would have Balma pull out the snack basket from Bowser's Inside Story. Yes, my bias is showing. And would toss it above the two as lots and lots of snacks would appear above Ant in a ball of tasty sweets. And after Ant eats the ball of sweets, he would grow into a massive size before Balma hops onto Ant's big body, rolling all around the screen, making this a Pac-Man-like final smash. And after 5 to 7 seconds of this fat plumber's rush, Balma would rush back onto the spot, and Ant would turn back into a skinny little sail. The rolling motion that Balma does is in reference to how Mario uses the move, the Luiginary Ball, in Dream Team. The next would be a cinematic final smash, having Ant and Balma hugging onto each other, emitting a humongous heart forming around the two, and foes that are hit in the heart will be pulled in. The cinematic will start with the fighters floating in the fabrics of reality, dazed and confused, until the camera shows Hyper Cape Balma and Star Cape Ant fighting each other, transferring the dimension's power to each other, and have the two dashing around the foe like the Jinjos for Banjo's final smash, before ending the cinematic smash with a star blast, having the cinematic end with Ant and Balma wrapping their arms around each other and winking to the camera. And like all cinematic final smashes, if the foe is over 100% at the end of the cinematic, then let's say their everything is nothing but the multiverse's energy now. And the last final smash I have thought of can be a fan favorite of mine and multiple others. Ant and Balma would hold out the falling star from Bowser's Inside Story and toss it into the air as the two rush off screen. Once Ant is on the right side of the screen in the foreground and Balma is on the left on the foreground, the star will grow and start moving around, having Starlo, the helpers of Bowser's Inside Story, form into Ant and Balma's crosshair. As the star moves around, the player can shoot the star with smaller stars that can be thrown to and by from Ant and Balma, but the star can change colors. Green for Ant and A to shoot with them, obviously, and orange for Balma and B to shoot with her, obviously. And after 5 to 10 seconds of shards shooting, The star would crash land in the middle of the stage, causing large amount of damage for those caught by the big star, and can create a lot of small damage depending on how many mini stars the duo shoots correctly at the big star. After this, celebrating for the job well done, Ant and Balma would jump from the foreground back to their spot on the battlefield once the star disappears. Imagine this similar to Brawl Snake's Final Smash in a sense, but much more stylish and dangerous for most of the foes on stage. The first colors would have Ant housing his outfit: black cap, dark red shirt, dark blue overalls, purple striped socks, and dark brown boots. While Balma wears her normal outfit: yellow hat and shirt, purple overall like skirt, white socks, and purple shoes. The next could have the duo swap their colors: Ant having Balma's colors and Balma holding Ant's colors. The next can make the duo house the brothers' colors, Ant having Mario's colors and Balma having Luigi's colors. The next set of colors can make these two housing their own partner's colors, and holding Bendy's cartoonish style colors, even with Bendy's cartoon eyes, if that is aesthetically allowed, black, gray, and white, and Balma holding Dee Dee's colors: blonde hair, blue shirt and hat, and pink shoes / overall skirt. The next can be an alternate costume, having Ant holding Zombiebringer's outfit, having a dark red scarf, hat, shirt, and boots with black overalls, and Balma having Dr. Amino's lab coat, black boots with white buckles, a blue general's jacket, grayish pants, removing her gloves, and having silver glasses. The sixth lot would have Ant donning Trinity Infinity's maid outfit, being bashful while doing it because, well, of course, he's wearing a maid outfit, and Balma donning Gura's hoodie and white shoes. The seventh would have Ant holding Plushie's colors, blue and green emblem on the hat's emblem, cyan-like hat and shirt, black overalls and boots, red buttons, and gray gloves. While Balma has Jack the Hedgehog's colors, having a black cap, green shirt, blue overall skirt, and black shoes. And for the final, well, this is an interesting one. Ant and Balma would have their hats on, but Ant would have a black tuxedo with black boots instead of his normal overalls, and Balma would have her yellow and pink dress from her sprite sheets, making her like Peach in a sense. It could be implied that they were going on a dance or a date and having to fight in a fancy way. It's kind of being a reference to the Owl House when Luz and Amity had the fight in Grom. Trust me, if you know, you know. For the stage intro, a yellow star would appear above the ground as the duo jumps out, having a smaller blue and yellow stars appear around the star, with each person jumping out, landing in their formation with a Mario Luigi-like pose as the star disappears. The intro itself is in reference to how Banjo gets introduced into fights, and the star is how battles start in Bowser's Inside Story. Though as an audible treat, depending on the formation at the start of the match, both of them will shout the bros' starting voice lines. Like, for example, if Ant was in the front, Ant would say, "Let's go!" as he jumps out the star first, while Balma replies with, "Okie dokie!" from behind. And if Balma is in the front, Balma would jump out saying, "Let's go!" Well, Ant comes out from behind shouting, "Okie dokie!" The first time would have Ant lift his foot up a bit, smiling and pointing to the foe as he places his foe down, laughing slightly. Just like how Mario points to the foe each time the super bouncer would hit the foe, and Balma would jump up and down a few times before standing on one foot with one hand facing forward, saying, "Oh yeah!" Similar to how Mario celebrates when the duo completes the green shell attack in the remake of Bowser's Inside Story. This could be great after having the duo complete the green shell thrill. The second would have the duo turn to the camera and wave to it as they laugh like the bros would do at the start of the Woohoo Cannon move, having the implication of having lots and lots of fun in the fight together. It being Luigi-like and waving with one hand since he knows the fourth wall, and Balma being Mario-like and waving with both arms, having the idea that she knows the fourth wall thanks to Ant and being excited to know about it. And finally, the two would turn to the camera and dance like how Mario and Luigi dances in Superstar Saga while choosing a move. I know I could have added more Partners in Time or Paper Jam references, but the Superstar Saga dance is so much more iconic than the others. The first victory animation would have Ant and Balma jumping around in a celebrational way, but when they bump heads, the two would be bashful, would blush and step back, before waving at the camera. This being close to something that Luz and Amity would do if they won a fight together and bump heads with each other. The next would have Ant and Balma looking at each other, clapping their hands together, and then would have the duo hold hands and use their other hands to hold them up, having the two closing their eyes and smiling while saying, "Oh yeah!" at the same time, freezing in place as confetti flies around the two briefly. This being a couple version of Mario and Luigi's victory animation when being a boss in the boss gauntlet, or being a challenge in Bowser's Inside Story. And the final victory animation could have the two spin around a bit before holding up a complete item from the Mario and Luigi series, having this become different depending on the last thing you did in battle. If you end the fight with a basic attack, it would just be the complete bean star shining in their hands. If you end with a special attack, it would be the complete Colbart star in their hands. If you end the fight with a throw, the duo would be holding up the Dream Stone in their hands. If you end it with a smash attack, the duo would be holding the book that houses the Paper World in. And for added bonus, would have Paper Ant and Paper Balma popping out while waving as an added touch. And finally, if you end the fight with a final smash, and it would fit if the Falling Star smash, final smash was a whole lot more, the duo would be holding up the Miracle Star, having all the items glow in a heavenly way. This is a reference to each item that is important in each Mario and Luigi game. They made it past their goals of fighting together and fighting the toughest opponents and are ready to save the day, like two super bros would have done. And that does it for What If Ant and Balma were in Smash. I want to say that I wanted something like this as a Mario and Luigi moveset in Smash Ultimate, but since Sakurai is a busy man and wouldn't make Mario and Luigi a real series again until who knows when, I decided to make this moveset as a template for any duels using this style of fighting for later on. I am the creator of Ant the Zombie Slayer, and thanks for watching.